It's the World Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one you can't defeat. It's the World Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one you gotta beat. Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one you can't defeat. It's the World Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one.
What's going on, guys? Guardian and Light here. Joining me is...
I have guts and a flame orb. Hi, my name is Guardian Octo.
And welcome back to the Analytic podcast. This week, your best Ultra Ball podcast. This week we're going over week 3 of our Ultra Ball division. And there's some cool matches that happened this week. Don't have any Pokemon news or anything. Like, no news for Scarlet Violet to go over, no league news, but honestly, can't have that every week. So starting off, we as far as getting into the matches, like I said, pretty eventful. Adelaide Thunderbolt beat Shadow Kings 2-1. So good job, Adelaide. Sphere of Orichalcos beat Guam War Totals 2-0.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, we're doing week 3.
You were tapped into week 4 stuff, weren't you?
No, I remembered Ant-Man's week 4 match, but yeah, then it occurred to me that was week 4.
Yeah. You know, I had a lot of matches from week 4 stuck in my head. It took me a sec to come back. Canberra Berserkers beat
Canberra.
Canberra.
We'll get it.
I will get there someday. But for now, today's not that day. Canberra Berserkers beat Napalm 2-0. Jersey Venusaurs faced off against Wild and Wigglytuff in 1-2-0.
Also hot streak.
Crystal Crowbats beat Mooing Miltanks 2-1.
Bounce back.
Sub-Zero Glaceon beat... Wait a sec. Is that still... I believe that's California Mastodons 2-1.
Hot streak.
Yeah. And then Golden State Gyarados beat the Distortion Zone 2-1.
That was a bounce back, I think.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, we've had a couple pretty eventful, some pretty decent games. We did get a request to analyze one of these matches. Mooing Miltanks is asked to analyze his match.
So we're going to look at the Wafflemoo versus Guardian of Light, week 3, and we're going to be focusing on the battle from Wafflemoo's perspective and see if we can give the best input on what went well, what maybe could have gone differently, and sometimes it could just be, oh, hey, you got unlucky there.
Yeah, absolutely. And worth remembering, this is not us picking on any players, nothing like that. This is a on a case by case basis on what maybe could have done better, what maybe could be done better. Think of it as a case study.
The whole point is to learn and grow. And hey, if you make a good play, I'll let you know. Well, I mean, if I recognize a play is good, I will let you know.
Fair enough. So we're gonna go ahead and get the matchup on screen here. Blah. And so make sure music's off because I don't feel like blaring that through my headset.
Word.
So
it does say off.
Yeah.
It also says color scheme light. Mine
Better?
Does not. It honestly is.
I don't pay attention to it,
especially
honestly.
at night. Mm.
So
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're looking at the animation window, it doesn't make a difference. But yeah, my eyes just can't tune out
no,
other stuff.
I hear you. So starting off, we're looking at the 6 that were brought. Honestly, his team looks pretty good, first glance.
I think so as well.
So get right into it here.
And remember to pause at the end of each turn.
Yeah.
Okay, confirmation game 1. That's a really nice thing with us looking at the replays. It does. Somebody has to say in the
Yep.
right-hand side what game it is.
So we see what happens here. So you see Pikachu comes in here for the lightning rod. So
when you're doing prep, it's a good idea to look at the abilities that your opponent can have. If they have somebody with lightning rod, you can still bring, even as a main attacker, somebody with an electric type attack. There's no guarantee that they're going to come. If they do have that Pokemon on their 6 during the match, you got to keep in the back of your mind. It can be a calculated risk. Just because somebody could have Pikachu or Manectric, they don't even necessarily have Lightning Rod. Better to assume that they do, but you got to make a call. Do I think they're going to switch in? So we don't know if Wafflemoo considered that or not, so I don't want to make any assumptions about that. But do always make sure that you consider that before you go for a move which can be redirected. Do I think my opponent's going to switch in this turn? If you make that step, you can make a calculated decision.
yeah, and it's one of those things that like it can be hard to plan for, but sometimes it's just one of like you said, it's something to look at in prep.
Something easy to forget. What you can always do, though, is make some really quick notes that are easy to reference. And then when you go into your match, especially if it's something like it's really easy to make a note, but it's also really easy to forget. And it made a big deal in prep, or this just is a big deal in general, I would say. You can make a note and then refer to your notes. I mean, if you have like 5 points, none of them are more than 10 words, it's really easy to look it over during the match. It doesn't take that much time. So that's something that can really help you. And take notes during the match so you can learn from game to game.
So, and then otherwise, Giglith use Rock Slide, that's fine. It's
Rock Slide I like. I don't like that Pikachu didn't get KO'd. Pikachu has horrible defense. Gigalith has excellent attack and its stab. But, hey.
it's probably a literal.
Might also be Gigalith's not max attacks adamant, which would make a difference.
I have no idea.
Too early to call.
So, Hailstorm.
Hailstorm absolutely makes sense. Didn't KO, which interesting. So I'm thinking at this point Drake Assault's AV. That makes a lot of sense to me. I would say overall. The main weaknesses are Fairy, which is normally special, and on your team, I would say they're special. Wishy-Washy could be physical or special, but personally I think most of the time special Wishy-Washy is better. It's always valid to ask, would physical be better this week?
Yeah.
But, and ice coverage is always going to be special. Ground can be physical or special. And then, I don't know. Is there any other special attacker you think Dracozolt should be worried about?
I mean,
on your team?
While it's normally not built offensively, absolutely something to consider.
You don't want to get chunked by Moonblast. Stab Moonblast goes stupid.
Yeah.
So, valid.
Hell, even Stab D-Lean does a good amount, because I don't remember. And he knows me well enough that I like spread moves, but like, again, there's not a I think Aromatisse and Wishiwashi were the big things to consider. And he did absolutely prep for the Wishiwashi. Just not
Dracozolt, that's the answer.
Dracozolt is the answer to Wishiwashi.
And so was Thwacky, who is also in the 6.
Yes.
So great job there. Now I think we got to be thinking is Dracozolt is in Fake Out KO range from Pikachu, and Pikachu has Fake Out now. So that's a bit of a risky scenario, and Gigalith is faster than Wishiwashi, or Speed Ties, to be fair, and is weak to Wishiwashi. So those are some important considerations to make going into this turn 2.
So, going into it, goes Dynamax Gigalith.
Play rough. It's good to get extra damage from Max Knuckle, but because the Max Hailstorm went out, that shows that Wishiwashi is either mix set or primarily special attacker. You get a lot more benefit from the sand because of the +1 special defense boost. And this is your Dynamax attacker at this point. If you want to commit to Dynamaxing Gigalith, you want that damage reduction. So Max Geyser did 91%. That would have done about 60, which is still probably too much. So I think still it might not have been the best choice to Dynamax the Gigalith in front of Wishiwashi, but you would have taken significantly less damage.
I do also slightly wonder why not KO the Pikachu just for the fact of get it off the field. With it being the fastest thing on the field, the fact that it does some decent damage.
Wishiwashi's really hard to take down when they're Dynamax as well. And if you're going to Max Knuckle, which is not going to KO anyway, if you want to get Pikachu off the field, that's what you want to do. If you're making a call like, oh, Pikachu's probably Focus Sash, so I'm not worried about their damage and Fake Out's not active anymore, I can see that. But you do have to worry about as well, for example, Electroweb if you have somebody fast in the back or who's vulnerable to that. That is also a fair consideration, like taking care of the Pikachu. But that is also just something you can make an educated guess. Like, I think the Pikachu isn't Light Ball, and I can ignore them. But I think it's better to make that consideration than to just ignore them, for sure, without thinking about that.
Then, so in consensus, what could be done better is maybe a different move choice or some better targeting.
You don't necessarily need to Dynamax the Gigalith. If you want to attack Wishiwashi, you could still attack the Pikachu and go for Max Rockfall. But before you go to the attack, like, why do you want to do that? And then start weighing some alternatives. Because, like, the Pikachu was an easy target for the Max Knuckle. And Wishiwashi is a special attacker. You want to be able to, like, mitigate the damage because Wishiwashi hits like a truck.
Yep.
Actually, no, hits like a train. How about that?
Like a double-decker bus. A man has exploded.
I mean, that is what we thought. Wishiwashi is 0 for 2 on KOs. But I'll be damned.
It put in some work.
Wishiwashi sure did bring him down low. Both times.
Though.
2 for 2. Exactly. So I'm interested to see. I did watch the match, but I don't remember anymore what happened. So I'm interested to see who comes in now. I'm kind of hoping for Moo's sake it's going to be Thwacky, but we'll see. Aegislash. Okay. Aegislash, yeah, it's a little vulnerable here. Like, what really sucks is Aegislash going faster than Wishiwashi. Like, they're completely vulnerable to them. And so is Gigalith. I think if you have Shadow Sneak, that doesn't even help. I mean, at least you could get the attack off before Pikachu moves, which is absolutely good in this case. You saw the kind of damage that Surf did. Yeah. So I think if possible, that would have been really good.
I cut it off early.
Oh, yeah. Max Quake, yeah, not really much you could have done about that. And Gigalith going for Max Guard, I think Uh,
I don't see why you're preserving Gigalith at this point. If honestly,
Gigalith outspeeds Wishy-Washy, which is good to note, but Gigalith is so low in HP as well. Like, maybe if you're trying to slow down the game,
but at that point,
that would make
is there any
sense.
purpose in slowing down the game at this point? There's
Well, if the momentum is going really fast in your opponent's favor, yes, you do have to slow down the momentum in order to get your momentum going. I think, yeah, Aegislash just wasn't in a position to be able to do that unless they had Shadow Sneak to go into Pikachu, and then you hope that Wishy-Washy doesn't KO the Aegislash if they're the ones getting attacked. I can see hoping that Wishy-Washy takes down Gigalith also being a thing, and then Wishy-Washy's Dynamax turn ends, then Gigalith gets an attack before Wishy-Washy moves, but then you still have to protect Gigalith from getting hit from whoever comes in. I think the only Pokemon who wouldn't be able to attack Gigalith first, well, Gigalith outsped Wishy-Washy, so it's difficult to say, because if you have Aromatisse or Escavalier in the back, I think Gigalith can outspeed both of them with whatever speed they're at. But if you have Lucario or Alolan Dugtrio in the back, like, they're going to be able to get an attack off before Gigalith, and then he's got to basically hope for a miss. Hope that it's Alolan Dugtrio and they're not Focus Sash and Shadow Sneak does KO. But, yeah, we don't know if Aegislash has Shadow Sneak at this point either.
So
it was a bit tough bringing in the Aegislash there, and it's really difficult to make Gigalith work in this instance.
I don't think.
But I do think if you,
I don't think Aegislash was necessarily a good bring for this week. Just you see the six and all four of them all carry like super effective coverage for Aegislash.
I think Aegislash could still work, but that does make it a lot harder. And I think this wasn't the this turn wasn't the turn for Aegislash to come in. I don't think. But who was the fourth one in the back? Who was being preserved?
I am.
Go ahead,
I'm pretty sure for me or for him.
For him, just hit resume. We'll figure it out. Okay, Escavalier, who is slower, and Blacephalon. I can understand not wanting to bring in Blacephalon there, but Blacephalon does outspeed the Pikachu, which would have been really helpful.
Yes, this was a big turn all around here.
And then it wouldn't even have been necessary to go for the Max Guard on Gigalith, but I mean, Gigalith wasn't KOing Wishy-Washy. I don't agree with that Max Knuckle at all at this point. You're at +1 attack, and Rain is up, so if you fail to get the KO, you're hella going down. Whereas if you go for Max Rockfall, you can at least pick up the KO. Whether it's into the Escavalier, maybe you can at +1 attack, honestly.
With the
and maybe even the Wishy-Washy.
The stab bonus and the fact that Max Knuckle already does 41%. Rockfall absolutely would have killed there. This felt greedy.
When you're down 0-3 or 1-3, that's not the time. It could have been not necessarily knowing which move is the best. We did see Rock Slide turn 1, so we know that Gigalith has it. I really do think that was the play there. The extra damage would absolutely help, and the weather change, I do understand it wouldn't really have helped that much. For Blacephalon, Mind Blown can KO the Escavalier, so that makes sense. And didn't KO the Gigalith, which is cool. So
it might have been worth reading the switch out from Escavalier. Because, like, Escavalier does not want to see a Blacephalon, ever. So
absolutely.
That it might have been worth attempting to read that, but that's something that is something that comes with more experience later down the line, I feel like.
Exactly. And honestly, Moo, I think that you're really good at learning from the experience that you have and immediately applying it. So going into the game 2, I do have high hopes based on just my experience playing against you in prep and watching you play. So I do think, sometimes the best way to learn is by doing, which can mean making mistakes. If this stuff sticks, it's really going to be good for you in the long run. And I mean, I think we've all been there, like going for fake out and psychic terrain or clicking a super effective move just because it's super effective, but your opponent has 10% HP, but your move has a 10% miss chance, then you miss and then you lose. Like there's just
It's the difference between going for what's safe and is what can be considered greedy.
yeah. Or just suboptimal. Like it's not. I don't mean to say like you're dumb for making that decision. It's just there was a better option available to you, and it probably would have had a better result. So and I hope that with our explanation for stuff, it can also help you to consider the options and what the outcomes could be to help you have the ability during a match to identify what the optimal play is and be able to make it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's just with time. And you're right, Moo has learned a lot. He's very good about learning from the experiences he's been getting in these games. Um, and we'll see it shortly after this. But, whoops. Whoops. Probably should have stopped at turn 5. Um, Nothing really to say there. Escavalier came in. Body press would have killed Wishiwashi.
Probably, but I um hmm. The body press doesn't benefit from the attack boosts.
No, I would probably say
But
Rock Slide was
maybe
probably the better bet there. Yes, it has a mischance, but you at this point
also has a flinch chance.
yeah, and at that point
And you're +2 attack, so there's no way it's not doing more
you were the
damage.
fastest thing in the field.
Which is wild, but it's true. So I do agree with Rockslide as well. Because, okay, like, hear me out. So you go for the Rock Slide, you KO the Wishiwashi, maybe you don't KO the Aromatisse, you get the flinch on Aromatisse, and then Escavalier comes in. And then you Rock Slide again, and you KO the Aromatisse, and you get a flinch on the Escavalier. And then it's single target Rock Slide, and then you get the KO on Escavalier, and you win.
Yeah, like it's a shot, but Rock Slide I do think definitely was the
Yeah.
better play. It's gonna do more damage overall than a body press. So, and it definitely Rock Slide absolutely would have killed Wishiwashi, and it would have done more damage to Escav than body press did. Doubling your attack, especially on something like Gigalith, is definitely nothing to sneeze at. But with that, game's over. Move on to the next one. This should be the next game. So look up for what we lead here. See a different lead from him this time, going UCH Slash. See Pikachu. No. Wait, what? This is game 2, okay.
Okay, so this is giving heavy potential Trick Room vibes.
Yeah.
So maybe demands an answer from you. So I'm interested to see what he does with this.
This gives Trick Room vibes. However, he has to bear in mind I revealed Trick Room in game 1 as well. So
right. Well, I mean, given the lead that you have now, I don't think you're ready for Trick Room at this moment. But you could absolutely have slow Pokemon in the back, which is fair.
So fake out.
No fake out again. Oh wait, yes. Oh my god, I missed the animation. Thought it didn't happen somehow. Okay.
Because the animation
So,
started before I press pause.
mm, I mean, of course you went for fake. Thank you. Okay, so, mm, I, so Ironhead wouldn't bring Doug Trio down to Sash. I, I think we saw the damage from Surf last game. I think that's when I would say, okay, Pikachu is probably Light Ball, because why would they be Focus Sash if they have Surf? But also, that was a lot of damage into the Aegislash. So Doug Trio is the other most likely Focus Sash candidate, which means I don't think it's really worth it to go for a move which lowers your defenses like close combat, even though it's super effective, because Doug Trio is going to need 2 hits to be KO'd anyway, and you're probably going to do over half with a neutral hit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have Shadow Sneak, which still hasn't been revealed, so maybe not, but like Shadow Claw, I think that would be preferable. It is really nice here, though, that Aegislash went second, though, because they ate the high horsepower, which they would not have if they had gone first. So actually, after considering, like, you're not KOing the Doug Trio anyway, which I literally had just said, it's better that you don't go for Shadow Sneak because then your stance changes, which is bad. So, yeah, I do agree with going for a non-priority move. I don't agree, if possible, to avoid with going for close combat, lowering your defenses.
However, so yeah, like close combat, it does a lot of damage, but if you don't read into like what are popular Sash mons, like up to this point, every time Doug Trio has come in to a match on my end, it's been Sash. It'd be a decently safe assumption to think that it's Sash again.
It's a bit also about the context. Really frail Pokemon tend to benefit from Focus Sash, and yeah, like Doug Trio could also have Choice Scarf, but Focus Sash is literally one of the best items in the game. I would argue better than Focus Sash generally, non-specific instances, but generally. And so most of the time, your opponent's going to have Focus Sash somewhere on the team because it's so good that they just benefit more from having it somewhere than not having it. And it's usually to your opponent's benefit to find the best Pokemon to put them on. Where you usually get the most benefit is somebody who's really frail.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to survive one hit otherwise most of the time. And Doug Trio fits that bill.
Doug Trio is definitely not bulky. But
I'd say even especially on the physical side, I think their special defense is a little
I believe it is, yes.
And their HP is abysmal. Like, absolutely abysmal. 35, I believe.
Yeah, like, the ones have okay defenses, it's the HP is bad. But, yeah, we move into turn 2. At the end of speed 1, we got the drop there.
Here.
So you see the switch here.
I don't think that's a bad thing. King Shield. Hey, you stopped the high horsepower. And got the attack drop.
Okay.
Reflect.
Yeah, it was cool to see.
We do see Shadow Sneak here now. I think there's no other explanation for Aegislash going first and having a stance change. There we go. Okay, I like the Reflect against 2 physical attackers. Pikachu, we know, is special from Surf last game. And we know Wishy-Washy is special. But we don't know if Lucario's coming, and the immediate threat of Doug Trio and Escavalier, absolutely fair, going for the Reflect. And Shadow Sneak, that was the best time to use Shadow Sneak, I think. Aegislash is probably going to go down to any hit from Escavalier no matter what. I like it.
Yeah, it was...
Light screen, special attacker is coming in. Yes. Okay, go ahead. Mago Berry? I can see that. Really bulky Pokemon. Sense. Okay. Wild.
So... Yes, at the end of the turn, Wishy-Washy comes in. Because Shadow Sneak happened, Light Screen happens, so you know you're double screened. I'm definitely not going to be doing any Okos anytime soon. His
What?
Mago Berries revealed because of knockoff.
It is sad that it's gone, especially knowing now that Uxie is going to Dynamax. But I will say, with a Reflected Light screen up with double health, Uxie is very difficult to take down. And Aegislash will be able to get a free hit. And oh wait, they're at -2 speed? No, that's special defense. They're -1.
That's
No, they
speed.
are at -2 speed because the Shadow Sneak. Yeah. Yeah, so Aegislash isn't going to be able to get a free hit off anymore except for going for Shadow Sneak. And then they're probably going to self KO.
Yeah, which.
Because Aegislash will probably self KO, I would expect that my opponent wouldn't. No, hang on. There's a point to what I said. I know it's going to KO. They're at 7%. It's okay. My brain goes really fast, so I would probably have done the same thing as you, for the record. But my point is, I think knowing my Aegislash is going to go down after going for a hit, I'm probably thinking, especially because Aegislash is the last Pokemon to move, my opponent probably doesn't care about the Aegislash this turn and will just double into Uxie. So I think it's a good idea to consider what's the most damaging move to go on to with Aegislash. And if it turns out you're wrong, like, I think you're not out that much anyway. Because Aegislash was going to KO themselves anyway. A bit of extra damage is good, but I don't disagree with a Shadow Sneak, but I think it's important to consider, like, especially maybe that could have been a reason for the Dynamax as well, right? Like, oh, well, my opponent's probably going to double into Uxie because Aegislash is going to KO themselves this turn. I don't want Uxie to go down, so I'll just double their health. But yeah, I wanted to get that point out there.
Absolutely. Now we continue and kind of look through to this Dynamax.
Yeah, wild. Yeah. They revealed dual screens, Healing Berry. So I don't think Uxie was planning on Dynamaxing. Starfall.
Hailstorm.
Not Stab. I don't get the Hailstorm. But we're not here to talk about Guardian side. So, okay, I'd say a little bit of luck for the Uxie. I mean, it wouldn't have KO'd, but the Max Geyser would have done more damage than the Hailstorm by virtue of being stabbed. But yeah, we carry on. And yeah, knockoff's damage is reduced because the item's gone, so that's nice for Uxie. I think at this point, I'm thinking Escavalier has no bug coverage because, or no bug stab move, because there's no other reason other than expecting Uxie to switch. Or ally switch. Okay, maybe there are a lot of reasons for Escavalier not to go for a bug move there.
Escavalier did have a bug move, but it was also inaccurate, and I was afraid of missing.
Oh, I understand. Okay,
yeah.
That's fair. This was turn 1 of Dynamax, so you also didn't know that Uxie was going to Dynamax, and they could have switched out or ally switched. So, yeah, given all of that context, I do think knockoff was safe. Okay, yeah, so Dracozolt comes in.
Ready to continue?
Okay. Yeah.
Which, Dracozolt's not bad here.
We do know Pikachu's in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Did he learn? Oh yes, I love this. Okay. There comes in the Pikachu. Stormy Tantrum.
Right.
I love it.
He learned.
I don't think the crit
Oh no, absolutely did not. Stormy Tantrum was failing regardless.
Yeah.
And I knew that when I got hit with it. I'm like, all right, fair enough. I can't do the same cheeky stuff twice.
Right.
But yeah, we continue here.
Max Quake makes sense. Yeah, Gigalith got in for free. It's pretty great. And now Pikachu's gone, so now you can Bolt Beak.
Yep.
That's really good. All right, so we see Escavalier come back in, and Gigalith outspeeds. Dracozolt outspeeds Wishy Washy. This is looking pretty good. Bolt Beak does not KO.
No.
Yeah. See, I don't think you can fully expect the KO there, and I think Rock Slide would have been better. You have a chance to flinch the Escavalier. Maybe you would KO the Wishy Washy. Maybe not.
Yeah, he was definitely using body
either
press in
could
a lot of
miss.
weird places. And it'd be one thing if it was
I
set up
agree
with
with
iron
that.
defense or something to make it worth using more, but
I did notice that Gigalith has leftovers though, so I understand that their defense investment is probably really high. Their defense stat could be higher than their attack stat. But remember, if you have 30 higher attack, that's not going to be as much value as, well, it's spread in this case. So stab gets offset a little bit by the doubles spread reduction. But I do think Rock Slide comes out in the end to be a bit stronger because 75 times 1.5 is like 90 something, and like 25% of that comes out to like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna bring out a calculator because something seems off.
there was a couple things wrong with the sets, and I'll get into that after the fact because we talked after this.
Okay, yeah, that.
So I'll hold on. I'll
112.5. Yeah.
So I will go into this shortly after.
Yeah, 80 versus 90. Okay, so it's a Rock Slide is slightly stronger than Escavalier and has a flinch chance, and it deals damage to Wishy Washy. So I still agree with Rock Slide. A 10 base power difference if you have a lot of defense investment and not a lot of attack investment. I think in that case it's debatable. What do you want to do? But the value of increasing your base power is more valuable than increasing your attack stat.
Yeah.
Something to keep in mind. So the power of stab is real. It is
People
hella
forget
real.
that
Okay, anyway.
Basically, your stab, that's what, a 0.5 or a 1.5?
It's 1.5.
So, think, you do a bulk up, that's doing that much more. You're doing literally 50% more because of stab. Correct?
Oh, okay. Exactly. And one thing to note, to be fair, if you get a one, with the 1.5, I will check up on that later. If the multiplier is the same for attack versus base power of a move, I believe the damage comes out to the same. But if we're talking like 1.5 times boost because of stab versus your attacking stat is 30 points higher, or your defensive stat is 30 points higher than your attacking stat, say, I know like submission is base 80 power and it can miss, but we're not going to worry about that. So if you're looking at submission versus body press, if you have reckless, that's a 1.3 times boost to going for submission because it has recoil. So that 1.3 times is going to be more valuable than having like 30 higher defense. If it's like a big difference, like if you're max defense, bold, stack attacka, body press is going to deal more damage than Iron Head.
There are cases, but in this case, I don't think it was one of them. So
I don't think it was either. I think Rock Slide would have been better. I mean, this wasn't the worst play in the world. It would help you a little bit more.
and
We think
to be
to
fair,
go for the
we
Rock
are
Slide.
still even here, and he has screens up.
Definitely not a bad position to be in. It's just if you can make the optimal play every turn, the chances that momentum swings away from you gets lower. And so it gets easier to seal up the wins. And even though it wasn't necessary to go for Rock Slide, because we know also the result of this game, it still helps you in the future to be able to think about this stuff. So like the nitpicking, if we're doing any nitpicking, it's to help you learn overall, not like, well, you didn't win this battle hard enough. No, you won. That's the important part as far as the match is concerned. But in terms of learning, let's go through with a fine tooth comb and learn everything we can.
Yeah, and so we continue here.
And yeah, Dynamax, non-schooling wishy-washy, not very
Not
scary.
at all.
Oh, well, now they're scary because they have burn chance. Didn't get it. Okay. I agree with that. Let Hail take Wishy-Washy down if Uxie's Dazzling Gleam doesn't. And if nothing does, whatever.
The biggest thing is body press is 100% accurate. You're guaranteeing the kill there. You knew from last turn that body press does about 26-something%. 25 to 26. Right
that
around
was absolutely the time.
That was a safe bet that was a roll to kill.
Don't go for a move which can miss if you don't have to. So that turn, absolutely go for body press. And the Dazzling Gleam for spread, great choice.
Absolutely. And then it brings me down to Hail range, so he wins that. That last turn I absolutely agree with. That was ideal.
I even think that the Dynamax Uxie was good.
The Starfall helped in a couple places, and Misty Terrain definitely is. I don't think it helped him, but it definitely didn't hurt him.
There was an out for you if you did get the burn with Scald, but because Misty Terrain guaranteed that it didn't happen into the Gigalith, it could have still happened into Uxie because it Levitate, but it didn't come into effect. So the Misty Terrain at least guaranteed that. But I think keeping Uxie up allowed for the play with Dracozolt and the sudden introduction of Gigalith, which turned out to be really impactful. Oh, yeah.
Positioning on that was just really good.
I don't think Gigalith was going down. So, yeah. I mean, I may have said it was wild, but I didn't say it was bad.
Wild sometimes means good things. It was out of left field, and that's
exactly.
not bad. Random stuff tends to work. So, all right. We are now on to game 3.
We are. I remember a crucial detail about this game. We'll get there. Okay, I'm ready. Completely new Lucario, completely new Thwackey. Love to see it. Fake onto Lucario, I think it's interesting because we know that Dugtrio is Focus Sash. But Lucario didn't Dynamax, so it kind of worked out. See, I think if you Fake Out and then Grassy Glide the next turn, you might be able to pick up the KO on the Dugtrio, especially if you go for Dazzling Gleam this turn.
Yeah.
And then you stop the beat up from ever going off. Whereas, maybe your opponent knows that you have Fake Out and they want to Fake Out the Dugtrio, but I mean, we can see opponent just did it anyway. What are you going to do? So yeah, I really think Fake Out turn 1 into Dugtrio, and then Grassy Glide turn 2 to pick up the KO before they get beat up off. That would have really helped. And Dazzling Gleam for a bit of extra chip to help get the KO, and it's neutral against Lucario, so you get a bit of chip whether they Dynamax or
not. Regardless, I'm now +4 attack, and
scary.
Yeah, very.
Uxie hasn't gone for a move. What does Uxie do?
Reflect. Which is smart in this case.
It helps, but it doesn't do everything.
No, it does not do everything, but on a team that... my team's pretty much split down the middle, physical and special, as he's seen, because he's seen every mon come out at least once already now.
Well, now we know that Lucario is physical.
Yep, and so now it's like...
Because Lucario can absolutely be special.
Now it's not a crapshoot. I'm looking at 2 very physical mons. Let's do this. So I agree with the Reflect personally.
I think that the Dazzling Gleam makes more sense with my line of play, but I do think with the line of play that he took, yes, Reflect makes sense. I just think that Fake Out Dazzling Gleam is better.
Yeah.
Overall.
The Dazzling Gleam is resisted by both, but it's fine.
You just need to make sure that the Grassy Terrain doesn't bring Dugtrio back up to Sash, and honestly, it might be cutting it close with Thwacky's base attack on the Grassy Glide since it's neutral, whereas Dazzling Gleam gives you a little bit of buffer room on picking up that KO. That's why I think it matters.
Yeah.
Okay, so going into turn 2, this is really scary. Reflect undoes arguably one of the +4, that's still +3. That's a lot. And I think Lucario's base 100 attack.
Base 110.
Oh, and then their special attack
Yes.
is 115? Oh, 5-point difference. Okay, I thought it was 10-point difference. Okay, there we go.
So we go on
At +3, that's a lot.
Look at maybe Thwacky faking out of this, because like Lucario, yes, that hurts. However, it's not OHKOing either of this, especially if Thwacky's Eviolite.
Or Focus Sash.
But move on to the next turn here.
2 really good items for Thwacky.
How was it? Say that again?
2 really good items for Thwacky. See, with the Fake Out and the Dazzling Gleam, that probably could have KO'd. Turn 2, I mean.
So, we look at this turn here. Let me actually get through the Grassy Range and stuff like that.
It was just a little
I pressed pause.
A little too
I
too
why
late.
I did that. I pressed pause.
Showdown has a mind of its own.
Gotta love it. But yeah, so we look here. It's basically just become a slugfest. So look at how much we look at what D-Gleam did to the Dugtrio. It would not have. We look now. Yuxi would have gotten that kill this turn, not last turn. So that's something to consider. Knowing how much it does now to the Dugtrio. If we would have gone with Octo's line of play, we'd be staring down a very dead Dugtrio and a non-boosted Lucario.
Which is just indisputed better.
Which, yes, but having gone with the line of thinking he did, and now looking here, with where we are now, I think going for the Grassy Glide and the D-Gleam was a good idea.
You know what's wild?
What's that?
Thwacky was doubled into and still lived. So now I feel like, man, what if that Thwacky Dynamaxed?
Yeah, if Thwacky would have Dynamaxed, that would have been dumb.
I mean, who would have thought that Thwacky would have survived both, right? So I get why it didn't happen, but hey, if you can Dynamax Uxie game 2.
I think I figured that Thwacky would live, but not the amount that it did.
Fair. I mean, I just think now, yeah, it would have been so great. Like, I don't think it was necessarily suboptimal not to have Dynamaxed the Thwacky, but I mean, like, they would have literally only taken 45% this turn from a +4 Lucario and a stab. Well, both were stab, and then a stab move from Dugtrio, who's Focus Sash, so they're probably max attack. Like, that's really good. And then if you go for max Overgrowth in the Dugtrio, you get the KO. I don't know what moves Thwacky has to hit Lucario. If there's no high horsepower, that makes it a lot tougher. And you can't max Darkness from knockoff. So maybe that's why. Maybe Thwacky doesn't have a way to hit Lucario. In which case,
you
can't
that
really
makes it weird, and that just means finding an answer is that much harder.
Which is painful. Blacephalon, that's an answer. Especially after Dugtrio goes down, because Dugtrio probably outspeeds the Blacephalon, right?
Actually, I don't know that. I don't know.
I believe so.
The prep or like speeds or anything for Blacephalon, because I prepped for something that he dropped because I didn't know he picked up Blacephalon.
Oh right, the Corviknight. It happens. Blacephalon's base speed is 107, and Dugtrio's is base 110. So Dugtrio being Focus Sash is probably max speed, I would imagine. So max speed Blacephalon. Blacephalon still 109 speed. If it's not 107, it's below 110. And Dugtrio, Alolan Dugtrio is 110. I guarantee you. So
we look at where we're at here. Dugtrio protected, which I don't think Protect has been revealed yet in Dugtrio, so he had no reason to believe I had it.
Right. I agree.
Can't really... can't predict that. Like this is game 3. I've not used it yet in 2 games, so that is what it is. I have it now, but that's.
And you knew probably Lucario was attacking the Thwackey because Thwacky's more threatening than Uxie. So, I mean, trying to get some damage off before Lucario is faster KOs them. Fully agree. And Grassy Glide isn't going to do much to Lucario.
Uxie trying to do some
that was a good
damage, play. Definitely respectable, but like definitely not as threatening as priority Grassy Glide.
Precisely. And we know Uxie has a healing berry and dual screens, so they're probably not even having much special attack investment.
No,
and
it's going to be a very bulky set.
It's just. And they went for Dazzling Gleam again. 18%. Not bad.
It's shrunken bit by bit. So now Gigalith.
Okay, this hurt to watch. This is not the time. This is not the place for Gigalith. This is a time and place for Dracozolt. And then you switch the Uxie into Gigalith because then your Dracozolt goes faster than Lucario and you're extremely threatening. Bringing in the Gigalith first, Gigalith is super beyond vulnerable to Dugtrio and Lucario. That was the more succinct way to put it, yes. Okay, so let's see what happens. Okay, that wasn't a lot of damage, which is good. And that was no damage, so that's good.
However, now you look at...
But that's also no damage, which is bad. See, Iron Defense, ironically, wouldn't have been that great because Body Press. Because Body Press, I think, after the bulk up wouldn't have KO'd. But I don't think that Iron Defense was a read on the bulk up either.
No, I think he's getting greedy trying to set up.
I know, I didn't see that coming.
That seems to be his favorite move on the thing.
Which, okay, Gigalith does that well. And Gigalith survived. But you gotta get rid of that Lucario. And I think the way to get rid of the Lucario is to lead with a Dracozolt and then switch the Gigalith in. Because the Uxie... It has to be a hard read for a ground move to go into the Uxie because Uxie literally has Levitate and Gigalith is weak to ground.
Yeah.
Maybe there'd be a steel move going into Uxie, but we just saw Gigalith is really bulky and Dugtrio doesn't have that high base attack. So as long as Lucario doesn't attack in there, even if Lucario does attack the Gigalith, you still have a whole ass Dracozolt. So I think it's worth it. Stands up. That's not going anywhere. So. Yeah, I would have really preferred to have seen Dracozolt or Body Press would have at least done a lot of damage. And if not for the bulk up, I guarantee you would have KO'd the Lucario because it is super effective.
And that's something that's something's a problem right now because of how fast it is.
Not just the Dugtrio, but also the Lucario. Body Press would have KO'd the Lucario before they were at +1. But we didn't know that they were going to bulk up.
Something that I'm kind of shocked isn't on here that he probably could have decently taken advantage of. Maybe Bulldoze shenanigans, but
it's maybe a bit of a tough sell with Grassy Terrain halves the damage, Blacephalon is vulnerable, Aegislash is vulnerable, Dracozolt's vulnerable, Uxie has Levitate. Rock Tomb, that's a possibility as well.
I was thinking more. There was 3 steel types on my draft, and all
against you. Bulldoze makes sense. Given the rest of his team composition, I understand why it wasn't brought.
Yeah. So we got Protect again. So there's the double Protect here.
Double Protect, and probably no Iron Defense.
Use Rock Slide.
I wouldn't have Iron Defense either. Now that's painful because both Pokemon quad resist Rock, and Gigalith is the slowest Pokemon in the field. It can be difficult, especially during the match, to remember your type chart. You can type in Showdown /weak. I think it's / or maybe you can use an exclamation point weak. No. But with some some commands, if you do a slash, you get DM'd the answer, but I don't know if that works in a battle or if it's only in the public channels. But
if it's in a battle,
you type in weak and then type in a
battle, it has to be the exclamation point, if I remember properly.
Oh, shit. Well, so what if your opponent knows what you're looking up? They don't know what you're going for. Or you can go to Bubblepedia and scroll down to game data, and I'll show the strengths and weaknesses, and then you can see Dugtrio and Lucario quad resist rock. You can also get a type chart if you need it, because Showdown does not tell you if something is super effective, neutral, or resisted. And nothing will tell you if it's quad resisted in terms of like the game or Showdown.
We were talking about how Thwacky lived. Yeah, that was Reflect.
Reflect absolutely helped for sure.
It definitely
I'm just saying,
not have lived if Reflect was not up. So that was definitely the right play, keeping that up to mitigate my damage.
Well, if you KO the Dugtrio before Dugtrio gets beat up off, that's for sure the best outcome. I just think with the Reflect going up and seeing how much damage in retrospect that was done into Thwacky, had Thwacky Dynamax, that could have been really good. But Thwacky doesn't have a way to hit Lucario. No. Not Lucario. Reflect has been good given Dugtrio not being KO'd though. So on that level, I agree.
Yeah, it seems like Dugtrio is just not getting targeted all that much, honestly.
They're not doing that much damage, so I kind of get it. But Lucario's not taking enough damage. They're only at
chunks of 20% here or there, which definitely adds up.
And Grassy Terrain recovery, I mean, yeah, that's helping them.
So we continue here.
No chance of living
that. So you're saying Uxie does a quarter to the... Whoops.
At least... Oh, that was a different week where the switch-in was mistimed. Never mind. Hey, Sand's still up. There's Dracozolt. There's no Dynamax yet. Was that a good turn to Dynamax? The damage... It's not about the damage. It's about the damage mitigation, because if you double your health, you take half damage, and we know Dugtrio has high horsepower. And we don't know that Uxie has Ally Switch, so I sincerely doubt there's going to be a hard read with that from his opponent. So, I don't know. Well, let's see what happens. I'm curious about the damage from high horsepower. It's a shame Uxie can't get the Reflect off before the high horsepower, though.
So stopping change definitely kills that. High horsepower.
Yeah, see, that did way too much damage. If the health were doubled, that wouldn't have happened, and now you don't really have a good Dynamax option. So I do think that Dynamaxing to take half damage from that would have been really helpful. Yeah, it would have been 41%, so you'd still be at over half. That's really good. And you can light screen before Wishy-Washy gets an attack off. And don't go immediately for Max Lightning. Go for Max Quake if you have a ground move. Yeah, they have Stomping Tantrum. Go for Max Quake, and then you for sure live, and you can go for Max Lightning, Dazzling Gleam. And maybe you can pick up a win. Yeah, I think that was just your Dynamax option took too much damage there.
So there's the Dynamax.
And if he Dynamax went for Max Quake, Dracozolt would have already been at +1 special defense.
Yep.
Could you imagine? Well,
and so here, like, his opponent has definitely given him a chance to come back through some suboptimal, like, targeting.
It was a bit of a choice to go for Uxie instead of Dracozolt when Dracozolt's a bigger threat. Now, if you're calling a Max or Protector Max Guard, like, sure, maybe Dracozolt isn't going to Dynamax because Dracozolt is at such low HP, And actually, Bolt Beak would have done more damage than Max Lightning because Bolt Beak doubles to 160 base power, and then you have Stab, and then you have Super Effective, whereas the Max Lightning from Bolt Beak is 130. So that 30 base power difference, I don't assume the crit still would have happened, but if it did, that would have been a KO. And without the crit, it 30 empower increase is about like 27%. So that's not as much as a crit. So I guess Wishy Washy still wouldn't have been brought down to range. So I don't know. Dynamax Uxie would make sense. Light Screen would make sense. Dynamax Dracozolt wasn't necessarily the worst one. Yeah, I don't like Dynamax Dracozolt because Bolt Beak does more damage, and Dracozolt's going down to a single hit no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, actually, no, to be fair, no, it was the Dracozalt. Dynamaxing there was definitely interesting. I guess it's cool to get the electric train up, but that was a gamble because if Wishy Washy would have attacked Zolt, then it would have gone down.
And you don't have a Dynamax option, even though you have an Uxie with... Well, I mean, you do have a Dynamax. Oh, wait. Yeah, then your Dynamax is gone, and you have a full health Uxie who could have Dynamaxed instead. Not that Dynamax Uxie is at optimal generally, but I think because Dracozolt was so low in health. We're getting into some weird situations okay, this was optimal play, but because that didn't happen, now this is optimal play. And
we can sit here all night.
New situation,
but we need to just let's rein it back to what is optimal, if not what would have been optimal in this from this game state here.
Which in this case, it would have been Uxie for me. The Bolt Beak does more damage. Uxie is going to live a hit.
I can absolutely agree with that.
And as we see, they're going to live either way, whether they're Dynamax or not. And Dracozolt wasn't going to live a hit either way. So, yeah, just more optimal to go for Bolt Beak.
To finish up, and then the Mega Berry comes back up, so Uxie's in the yellow. So yeah, Wishy Washy's down. But now Deagleam. So that I would say that
didn't even
further reinforces the idea that you probably should have Dynamax Uxie.
Uxie would have had a lot more health.
So, but again, stuff happens. I definitely understand wanting to Dynamax your big hitter, but sometimes it's better to Dynamax other options.
When they're that low on health, a really important bit of context in this specific case too is Bolt Beak does more damage, so the extra damage doesn't help, and the survivability doesn't help. Those are the two main questions. Will I deal more damage, or will I be able to live a hit? And if the answer to both of those is no, absolutely not. Don't Dynamax them. However, if one of them is yes, you still have there's a decision to make. It's not an automatic no.
Yeah. But now you look, this whole thing becomes a slugfest. You now see that Deagleam is out damaging Deagleam.
And when you're on lower health, I think you need to be taking multiple low rolls and getting high roll crits, one after the other, and hope that it's enough.
He did get a high roll crit, so can't say anything.
I mean, he needed multiple. Yeah. Every single one.
Oh, yeah, no, I hear you. But
hey, you didn't concede.
No.
If there is an out, potentially, play to it.
Yep. But yeah, that was the match. Overall, Moo, you did a good job. The game was hard, and I can tell you from my perspective, you made me work for it. Now, the thing that I was going to mention with the Dracozolt, because things were looking weird. That Dracozolt was a neutral nature because he forgot to change the nature. All I'm going to say is just check over your stuff in prep, check over it before you start your battle. because I
For
promise
sure.
you it matters.
If you need to, also, a lot of people I'm sure will help you. You can say, I made my team. I think it looks good. Can you check to make sure I've used all my EVs? All the natures make sense. All the items make sense. All the moves make sense because it it can be really easy to accidentally give a Pokemon 3 moves or they have the wrong ability or the wrong item. And if you specifically tell somebody to look for that stuff, it's a lot easier for them to look for
Yeah.
it. And then they can tell you. I'm sure most people, if you reach out to them, if they're available, they'll do it for you. So that's also a way to handle it.
Yep, reach out. Most people in this league are willing to help, so that's definitely worth reaching out.
And if you're specific about what you want and it's like easy, I mean, why wouldn't anyone help you? You
Yeah.
know?
Um, but yeah, that was our match. Overall, thank you for your submission. It was fun looking over it. Guys, remember if
For
you
sure.
guys want your matches featured on here to for us to analyze, then shoot either of us a DM on Discord or put it in the YouTube comments, and we
Yep,
will get to it. Okay.
that's right.
Now, time to check fantasy. We don't have any updates from as far as fantasy standings, so we're just gonna kind of look
Sorry about
through
it.
what Pokemon did necessarily well. So
Yeah, we can still get some insight into
yep,
that. And
I'm gonna say this just once again, guys. Be sure you're checking your battle reports.
oh boy,
That's all. I'm not going into a soapbox this time. Just be sure you're checking them because we do look off of those, not the sheets. So we should probably start looking at the sheets. But all right, first standout I've
I
got.
don't know. I like doing it this way.
I'd say I'm look. If this is correct, then Galarian Slowking. There's no way that's correct.
Oh boy, immediately. Oh, I'm looking at Master Ball reports. It's not going to get us very far.
Yeah, there's no way that's correct. Awesome. This is why we check things ahead of time. I'll go through that match here again. I'll go through that match and say what it's actually supposed to have here soon. I would say that it probably ended up coming 2 games and got 5 kills. That's probably what happened. It's just the game didn't get put on there. But we'll see. Looking otherwise, Blaziken coming in 2 games, got 4 kills, 1 death. Being supported by Noivern, who got 3 kills and 1 support move with 1 death over 2 games. That's pretty good.
Agreed.
Next up, looking for. If this is correct, holy crap. So
Oh,
yeah, Avalugg, 2 games played, 6 direct kills with 1 passive kill.
and no deaths. It's 0.
That's
Wow,
that's intimidating.
that is
That's one
wild.
dangerous coffee table.
I think that's the well, if Legends Arceus is to believe Arceus, I think they're bigger than a coffee table. They're like a whole. They're they're a banquet table. Okay, well, they're maybe not long enough, but work with me. Uh, Gothorita also 7 support moves. kind of seems like Gotharita was able to enable Avalugg since they were on
Oh
the same
yeah.
team. 2 games played, 1 death.
Oh, I
So
didn't even
support
see that.
moves.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
One of the better, not the best, but one of the better performances we've seen from support Pokemon. Actually, maybe the best in Ultra Ball.
For this week.
No. Oh, yeah, week 1, Gothitelle. So we're just going to let Gothitelle and Gotharita, they're literally part of the same evolutionary line, run the support division. I mean, come on.
Take notes, take notes.
They are both really good. I will say that. They are really good. But
All right.
if the only competition for Gothitelle is Gotharita, mama.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. We've had a couple strong support throughout the past couple weeks. I just don't remember off the top of my head what gets close. But we've seen a couple get that high. So the next standout I really see, Galarian and Rapidash. 4 kills over 2 games.
And 0
Yeah,
deaths.
I see.
Also, really great result.
I also see Boo getting 2 kills in 1 game, so definitely not bad. Good job.
And no death.
Good job, Jersey Venusaurs. Looking for any standouts here. Bum bum bum. Here we are. Okay, so Raichu got over 3 games, got 2 kills and 3 support moves, only died once.
Yeah, I'd say
That's definitely pretty good. Also worth looking on the other side. Ludicolo, over 3 games played, got 4 kills and 2 support moves, even though it died twice.
Those will both definitely be net positives.
Oh, yeah. And then lastly,
Entei.
Yeah, they did this in a weird order. Okay. Thanks, Jay. At least he put in parentheses the order he was doing things in. So yeah. So over 3 games, Regia's got 3 kills, 2 deaths. Entei got over 2 games played, got 4 kills and 1 death. Looking here.
I was really happy for Archeops until it was revealed they did not, in fact, play 0 games, get 3 kills and 0 deaths, and 3 passive kills.
Archeops was the cheerleader and did well. No. 3 games, 3 deaths. Unfortunate, but it's such as Pokemon. Okay. So looking at... But as far as on Distortion on his team, Musharna, over 2 games played, got 2 kills and 3 support moves, even though he died twice. So I'd say that's definitely not bad. And that would be it for week 3.
Party.
Yeah. So, it's like I said, I'm not getting back on my soapbox, but let's definitely be double checking our battle reports, guys. Because there's no way Galarian Slowking came in 1 game and got 5 kills.
If you KO one of your partners, it doesn't count as a KO for that Pokemon. So it is, even if it's not, they came to 2 games and only 1, there's still a clerical error either way. And I don't mean that to be critical. I mean it in a, like, this is why it's important. And if it really is painful for you to do the battle reports, you're not alone. But I think for some people it's more painful than others, and probably one of the reasons why it's not as painful for some of us is because we have a method which works for us, and maybe it'll work for you. So if you don't like doing it the way you're doing it now, there's probably another way to do it, and it might work out better for you. I know I myself tried doing it a different way one week, and I was like, yeah, I don't like this.
Yeah, I've tried a couple different ways.
And then I went back
I
to what
go
I was
back to
doing.
the way I was originally taught because it's easy for me. So,
Nothing wrong with that. So find a way that works for you. Get it done right. I mean, sure, we're looking stuff over, but it's better if you catch it beforehand.
make sure it's done right so that we don't get to call people out on the podcast.
Like, I suppose we could not, but like, I also feel like we should
If
if
we see something in the
somebody
moment,
has to do it.
I try not to draw attention to it, but if I see something in the moment, it's like, oh, well, that's annoying.
I'm gonna I'm gonna blurt it out if I see something. I just can't.
So,
But
yep, just simply get it done, guys. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Love you. But on that, I don't think there's anything else we really have to cover at the moment, is there?
um, no. I know my reaction sounded like yes, but no, my thought had nothing to do with a
Oh, no.
podcast or Pokemon or anything. So, no.
Well then. Alrighty, guys. Thank you all for listening. If you like it, let us know what you want to hear next. Any suggestions, anything would always be welcome. And thank you for tuning in. This has been Guardian of Light. And
And me, Mario. No. Octo.
Jesus. And this will be us signing off. Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
It's the World Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one you can't defeat. It's the World Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one you gotta beat. Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one you can't defeat. It's the World Pokemon League, #1 draft league you could ever see. Getting stronger, yeah, I'm building up my own team. Gotta be the champion, the one you gotta beat.